No, it all starts like that. All right, hello, I'm Landis Woltz. I'm here with my best friend, Wes Black. So we're going to be doing an interview right now. So say hello or something.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, going good. All right, so introduce yourself or give me a little bit.
I'm Wes Black, and I play music for a band called Fever Fever, and we are based in the Columbus area. And that's what I do. That's part of what I do. Big part of what I do.
Alrighty. And let's see. So, did you say the name of your band yet?
Fever Fever. Yeah.
All right. So, how old were you when you kind of decided that you liked music or started in music at all?
I was, let's see here, I was 15 when I started playing guitar and met the guys that would be in the band.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just, we were friends and we just had an idea, hey, let's start a band. That seems cool thing to do, and just did it and stuck with it.
Mm-hmm. That's good, man. So, let's see, are you still involved with those people from like when you first started playing music, or?
Yeah, so our singer and I have been doing music together since then, since we were about 15, 16. It's been about 10 years now. And then a couple of the other guys who were with us about 8 years, and they kind of got married, had kids, moved on a little bit from the touring music scene.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've gotten a couple new guys recently that are a little younger, not quite in that phase of life yet.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, we still hang out all the time. Still really good friends with those guys.
That's good, man. So, do you think music really brings people together for long-lasting relationships, or like?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we've been playing music together for almost a decade now, and it really does. It forms a really tight bond that can never really be lost, because a lot of times you're traveling together in close proximity. You're in a van, sweating on each other.
Yeah.
And, the van doesn't have AC. There's nowhere to sleep. Like, you see each other on your worst days and your best days and everything in between, and it's really tough sometimes.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you really get some cool relationships.
Mm-hmm. I think that, even with two people who, like, you are really involved in music and I'm really not, but I think that your music has bonded us together because, like we were talking about before, in a lot of events in our relationship that we've been involved in music, like camping and singing the songs around the campfire, or traveling to Canada. We traveled to Canada together, and kind of were in some, funny situations with music, such as like a Jamaican Pentecostal church and stuff. So, I don't know, I think it really has brought us closer together. You've been, your music and some of the things that God's spoken through you with your music has really, totally changed my life. So I think that music is a really big tool.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. So what were your musical influences like growing up, or like when you started the guitar? Like, why did you want to play guitar?
Well, growing up, definitely always loved music. I listened in a large way what my parents listened to for a long time, and then my parents aren't musical. My grandfather, who I never met, played saxophone. He was a touring artist.
Wow.
But he died when my dad was only 10 years old. So he only met him a couple times. The guy was,
This is your great grandpa?
This is my grandfather.
Oh, okay.
That I never met. My dad's dad, and my dad met him just a couple times throughout his life, because he was one of those guys where I think he'd meet a girl in a town and get married, and then a couple months later hit the road and get married again. And he apparently got married about 10 times.
Wow.
So I don't want to model my life after the guy, but I think there is something that is kind of in my blood,
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've always loved music, and I remember listening to like Christian bands when I was young, like DC Talk, Newsboys, and then I got into like Weird Al and started listening. Went through the rap phase,
I think everybody has like those phases.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of makes you more diverse and less like annoying. You know what I mean? The
Sure.
people that only not annoying, but like the people that I only listen to this.
Yeah.
They aren't really that musically diverse.
Yeah, it's pretty close-minded, and it's almost every music genre has something to offer for sure. And I remember learning bass guitar was really the first string instrument I ever learned, and I would play 70s like kind of pop funk like Blondie, or I would play like Ozzy Osbourne, or just they had some like no matter what the genre, like I think even some rap like Tupac bass lines. So there are all these cool bass lines in different forms of music, and you can pick up so much from different ones.
Yeah.
And then going into guitar, it was like more Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, and then even some of the rock bands today, some cool Killers songs, or So I mean, there's a lot to pick up from musically, and then talk about all the emotional things that tie into all those different kinds of songs. It's pretty cool. It's a powerful tool. Yeah,
I think it's cool to kind of take things from other genres. I mean, like your band has used a lot of different instrumentation and things. Like, for instance, like I've seen you play the banjo a lot on occasion. That's not really a common thing with a lot of bands today. So I think it's cool to kind of pick up, and it kind of like gives a little pop like to the songs if there's something that you haven't really heard from a different genre. So
sure, yeah.
I think it kind of heightens your interest. Like if a rock song suddenly has, I don't know, like a little trumpet or like a little something, it kind of brings you into that song. I mean, not necessarily trumpet, but you know what I'm saying.
Sure.
So yeah, that's cool, man. So let's see. So how all have you been involved in music? So obviously you're in a band now, and you've been in a band, but like, did you do music in school? I know you were homeschooled.
Yeah.
So that probably doesn't apply. I mean, what other things have you been involved in?
One of my best friends in high school was, we actually visited him in New York City. Remember Tyler?
Oh yeah,
and,
that's cool. We went to the what was it?
It was like an Ethiopian jazz band or
something.
Something ridiculous.
There's so many connections like that. So that's fine.
That was an amazing trip. But Tyler was a big influence on me. He played guitar and banjo and sitar and bass guitar and
wow, he played the sitar?
Yeah.
We just learned about that with the Indian culture.
Oh, cool.
So
he was a big Beatles fan, and George Harrison was really into sitar for a while.
Yeah.
So so he kind of introduced me to the guitar, and I started playing all the time. Started playing just every waking moment, and then I started playing for my church.
Yeah.
And
that's how we met.
Right.
Was from going to the church, and you were a youth leader, and so you would
right. And that's how I got hooked up with that church, was through music. Our band had played there, and then we started playing on the worship team.
And even on youth group nights, you've even taught me instruments to play a few times. He needed a bass player, or what did I play? Harmonium?
Harmonium, yeah, another Indian instrument.
Yeah, so I would come the day of and don't have any musical ability, and he's like, okay, man, we can do this. So, I mean, I'm a bass player now, and I'm a harmonium player now for one night each. So, that's cool.
And I just thought of another one, too. I played in a Spanish church band for a while. We would travel to different cities around Ohio for festivals and open for.
Is that the fusion band that we saw at Comfest? Or no, that's not it. That was a different.
At Comfest. I don't know if you would have seen it or not.
I don't know. Is it? I know what you're talking about. Though.
It was called Fusion. I don't remember what it was called, but we toured around Ohio, and and that was completely different because, like, just being able to play guitar, I knew a little bit of Spanish, but that brought me into this completely different world of getting hooked up with these Spanish churches and realizing how Spanish Ohio is, and how many people, how much culture is just it's sitting there. We just drive by it every day.
Yeah,
so music did that for me too.
That's cool. And then also with your Spanish influence, you and I went to Mexico together, and Now, so you've been using it as a tool in church, but then we used it abroad in
We
Mexico.
did kids music in
Kids
Mexico.
ministry. And
Yeah.
you graduated with a degree in Spanish from The
Mhm.
Ohio State University, and like that's just reiterating that you have been such a huge like God has spoken through you so much with your music. So, I mean, here in Mexico, so I think music has really given you influence all over the world. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, so I think that's pretty cool. And so many things like you don't even think about it, but really so many things connect, and so many things like play on one another. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, all of that goes together. Your degree, the fusion band,
Right.
going to Mexico, or so.
All kind of came from that.
Yeah.
Just playing music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so many friends and everything. So that's what I was going to talk about Mexico. So we talked about the tools of music, how it can be used. So let's see. So tell me a little bit more about the band. So you have a new album out last month?
Yeah, about a month ago.
So tell me what that's called.
Yeah, so we released Aftermath. It's our first record that we put out on a record label,
Mm-hmm.
and we worked really hard on it. We spent a long time writing it, and kind of going back to how you get to these relationships that you build in the bands and through music, and sometimes you're stuck together and stuff happens and it hurts and people fight and it's a struggle and you have to fight through it, and through that 2-year period where we're in the process of writing and recording Aftermath, there was a lot that happened, and it definitely brought us closer together.
Mm-hmm.
But it was tough, and you were getting to a certain age where I have a house. We're in my house. I have a wife. Mortgage, insurance. Now I'm off my parents' health insurance now this month. Like all these things kind of stack up, and so your financial needs are going up, and this passion doesn't really pay the bills in the best way, or I'm not a medical doctor or something. It's like it's a struggle to make those bills. So you have these personal struggles, and then you have these struggles because people are hard to get along with sometimes, and these creative struggles because artists are impossible to get along with. And then at home, I will be gone for several weeks at a time, and then you have these relationship struggles with I'm married, some of the guys are dating. It's hard. Everything's a struggle, And so Aftermath is essentially about, the whole album wraps around the theme that we struggle, and we kind of crumble down, and in the end, we do come out of that a new and better person. But it's not just a one-time thing. It's a lifelong experience that we all go through. And so the album starts with Aftermath, which is like this bright, beautiful time that you've kind of come out of all this struggle, and it ends in Collapse, where it talks about kind of coming down. So the whole album it's got a cool theme. I think all the songs kind of go together, but all the songs stand on their own individually too, and they have their own themes other than that overarching theme as well. So it's pretty dynamic. We're super proud of it, and we recorded it mostly with guys from Nashville. Actually, all the guys were from Nashville. Mark Townsend, who's done a lot of cool stuff. He, like Reliant K, that band, he's done a ton of stuff in Nashville. Another guy, Chad Howitt from the band Paper Route, which is an awesome band. And then Kyle Monroe from a band called Golden Youth. It's really good too. They're on the same record label as us.
I mean, that's crazy that somebody from Paper Route was helping you, because, I remember a few years ago, you were just like, dude, check out this song. We were just jamming to it in the car, and now, they're helping you produce your record, so.
Yeah.
It's
pretty cool.
That's pretty sweet. Especially, I'm so, like, when I hear something like that I know that you've been passionate about, like, Paper Route, you love them, really, like, I don't know, catches something in me, like, that's sweet, you know what I mean?
It's cool. And I remember going down there and going to Chad's studio, meeting him, and just the whole time being like, gosh. So this is what it's like.
Yeah,
like dreams do come true sometimes. It's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really refreshing to hear. So
yeah.
That's great. I mean, with now, you only hear bad things and everything. So it's nice to a little breath of fresh air with a nice story. So, I mean, dude, you hit everything that I wanted to know. I wanted to know about themes and everything, and you kind of just went for it, and you did awesome. So that kind of encompasses the new album. And so, what about like actually writing? So, like, who deals with writing? Do you personally do any? Are you a part of the creative writing process? Or?
Yeah. So we use technology. We have a setup with Logic Pro, which is a Mac product, and so a lot of times what we'll do is come up with an idea and record it, whether it's guitar part, keys, drum part even, or whatever it is. It's usually guitar or piano or something. And then we'll just record that little part and then start to build off of that.
Okay.
And so maybe our drummer will say, oh, this would be really cool, like whatever it is. And then our bass player will lay down a line or something, and we'll all kind of collectively write. But in order to, a lot of times when we first start that first piece, we'll say, okay, this is kind of this is sort of what I was thinking, and it might be okay. So we're in a field and it's foggy and there's the sun's rising, and this is kind of how you're feeling, and it's really almost like cinematic, so it kind of paints a picture for you, and then we can all kind of jump on board and say, okay, let's paint this picture together.
Okay,
And so a lot of times it's really collective. Sometimes there have been times where our singer will just sit down and write pretty much everything, or somebody will sit down and write almost the whole song, but then we'll still kind of chip in on different parts. And so most of Aftermath, I think, was pretty collective. Specifically, I remember there's a song called Hope is a Child's Toy, and I remember it just went perfect. We wrote the whole thing in one day.
Wow.
We started with a little violin part. It's like dun 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 dun, and then we came in. Okay, I got this guitar part, and I loved it. And then our bass player came with the bass part. We all loved it, and it just clicked. Like some songs will struggle for weeks, but that one was just like one day.
So does that kind of keep you going? Like if you're having so much trouble, and then one day you're like, let's do. I mean, you didn't plan to, but it's just like everybody's on, and the next day you're like, all right, we have a little bit. I mean, your morale is kind of a little bit.
It's nice, yeah.
Because I mean, I'm sure that's the creative process is frustrating or can wear you down. Like, I'm trying so hard, but maybe something's not clicking, and then like one day, I don't know. Do you think
there's always something that seems like it could go on writer's block or sort of like this almost depression, because you're like, oh, this last thing we did was so good. How are we gonna go succeed this last song we wrote? It was so great, and now we have to outdo it. There was a story I remember, Young the Giant. That's a band I love, and their song, I guess, My Body, was kind of in one of those moments. Oh, have we? Yeah. So they're just like, he's just so mad. He just started yelling these lyrics, and it's basically a 2-chord song. Yeah. And
it just rocks.
Yeah, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I wrote a paper about that song, and it was, everybody kind of thinks really deep into the lyrics, and really it was just like, what do I want to hear? I want to hear something that I can just easy rock to. Just like, just emotion coming out. So.
And the lyrics are about just being so, it's kind of nonsense, but it's just, I'm so tired, but I'm going to just keep going. I'm just going to keep rocking, even though everything's telling me no. That's all it's about. Yeah. And I remember there was one moment for us really early on in the band. We were just so frustrated. And I never really get physically frustrated, but I was just done. And I took a pencil, and I never do this, but I just chucked it at the wall. And the pencil just stuck in the wall. And it was just like hanging out there. And we were all just like, whoa, what just happened? It's all this frustration. And then just one little thing kind of breaks it down, loosened us up. And we left the pencil there for like years. It just stuck in the wall. It's kind of a reminder of don't take things too seriously.
Oh,
just get past it.
That's
awesome. So there's always something that just kind of breaks it, whether it's a breakthrough musically or just some kind of goofy thing.
Yeah.
And so until that happens, it can be frustrating. But.
Wow, that's a sweet story.
Yeah.
I want to go back to the kind of the mood setting thing that you were talking about. Like, let's think about this setting, and then like I don't know. I just thought it was so cool to like. I mean, it doesn't have to do with the pencil thing, but I just thought it was cool. Like, let me create a bass line. Let me create something based on how I'm gonna feel in this moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's pretty cool. Like, I'm not ever involved in the music process. So I'm like, what did they do to create this? Like, how does it happen? Like, lyrics first, whatever first. So, really, what you're explaining is some sweet insights of how some of the things are made. But do you think that there's, with different songs, there's just different ways that those are created? Like, you can't go by a standard book. This is what we're going to do to create the song every time.
And it's sometimes songs, I know a lot of people create songs based on other songs. Like, oh, that'd be so cool if we had a song like this. And we've done that a little bit. But I think you do that to a certain point. And then if you're striving for creativity and you want to be an artist and that's what you want to do, then you kind of break away and you say, okay, like, we've had these influences. They've made us who we are. Now let's do what we do.
Yeah.
But back to the sort of the cinematic, like, soundtrack idea. Several of our songs all tied into a very tight story for this. There's so many like sub themes to this too. I'll have to give you like the full rundown one of these times. But there was literally, our singer wrote down, this is the story. This is he could have written several pages of this setting, and then this is the first song, this is the second song, this is the third song. And so all the emotions, all of the lyrics, all of the parts were just based on the idea. So, and we've heard people say like, you guys should get your music in movies because it sounds like a soundtrack, and I think that's largely because it is, maybe it's a movie that hasn't been made, but
that's sweet. Wow.
And we have had more success.
I got chills when you said that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We have had more success like in the video world than a lot of other bands at our level. So we had a song used on a Nike commercial one time. We've had just random things like skiing commercial or here or there. We had a hospital buy a song for a while and use it on the radio. And so, but they've just, it's all been sort of, I think, a lot of times, one of our songs is called Clouds Catch Fire. It's about a sunset, and it's just about that visual feel. And so I think that emotion of sitting in front of the sunset kind of comes over you when you're listening to that song. Or like, at least that's the hope. And so I think that company was like, we need something that makes people feel warm and happy, and it's like, that's it, just because that mood is set. It wasn't random. It was kind of, that's in a really precise mood that we kind of picked out. So
let's see. You can take a drink of coffee.
Thanks, sir.
Talking a little bit. I know it's strenuous. Let's see. Let's see. You know what? I just want to, playing on the idea of kind of themes and things, I'm just going to end it with, tell me, I know the story about Beautiful Dream.
Yeah.
So that, just give me a little background on that for the listeners. Is that okay?
Beautiful Dream.
So the dentist appointment.
Oh, that was.
It
all belongs to you. So that one was that was pretty cool.
I just thought it would be nice to share because I always think about that. So
Well, my grandfather actually was at the dentist at a young age, and he back in those days, I don't know if they used lidocaine or whatever drug, and he got got too much of it, and literally sort of was dying, on the table at the dentist. And so he had this experience where he was, I think, his heart had stopped, and he was kind of, young boy, but he sort of felt like he was in a different place, like dreaming or something, but it felt very real. And he was in this meadow, and he just felt happy, and he felt like this love and hope and this just perfect presence of something, and he describes it like that, and just safe and really safe, and like somebody was just like holding him, you know, just this sense of security. And so I always thought that was really cool, and he always alluded that, you know, I felt like God was there with me, and it felt His presence, and so I thought it was an amazing story.
Yeah. And
I told our singer one time, we said, man, the song we're working on, let's write it about that. And so there were, the song is basically based on that, and then we took some verses too that we liked and threw them in there, and I don't think you would ever know that song is based on this like experience with God in this weird like dream world or something.
Yeah.
But I would hope that maybe that part of that emotion would come off.
Yeah.
On it, you know, too.
Yeah. Every time I hear that song, I'm always thinking about it. So, I mean, I just love that you shared that with me. So I thought it would be nice to share.
Definitely.
So, all right, I think we've covered. I mean, anything else that you want to talk about or anything?
Good job, man.
All right. Thank you. This is Wes from Fever Fever, and that's all. Thank you.